Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the next episode of Growth Minded Contractor. I'm your host, Ryan Groth, and I have an awesome guest here. The guys at Eldridge Roofing and Restoration. I know they had a name change recently, but man, this company, guys, is so fun to interact with. And I met these guys at the Best of Success conference 3 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago. And I recently was at their office in Houston, and I was so refreshed being with these guys. And I just was like, man, I got to do a podcast with Mikey and Glen. And they're the leaders here at Eldridge. And they are a special group. They're doing great revenue. They're growing year over year. But what I want to highlight and focus on is some of the characteristics of what makes them so good. But maybe, Mikey and Glen, you guys can do a quick introduction of who you are, and before we hop into some of the meat and potatoes of what's going on at Eldridge.
Mikey Eldridge, owner of Eldridge. Started it from the ground up, and been going at it for about the last solid 8 to 9 years.
Yep.
But been in business for since '98. So, but in
like roofing, for real, like we're doing it 8-9 years. Yep.
Yep.
And Glen's been on how long now?
Going on 2 years.
Going on 2 years. Yep.
Nice.
So, I'm Glen Ward. Mikey's COO. I've been in the industry probably about 18 years, and then I've been at Eldridge going on 2 years now. So excited.
Yep.
He was on the restoration side of the industry, but more importantly, Glen is a longtime friend of mine too. So before all of that.
Yeah. I mean, so I went to your office, and firstly, getting Mikey on board was like, it took about 7 sales calls to finally get you on, which was great. He kept me honest. It was good. But what I love about actually interacting with you and working with you guys is I'm just so impressed by the culture you guys have created there. And, I feel like you guys have gone through a lot personally, and then you're saying, hey, look, everybody who's going to work here is going to have a different chance to make something of themselves. And I just feel like this very mission-like passion that you have toward your team. And I just want to ask you to maybe unpack some of that. How have you created that culture that people do? They don't want to leave. They want to be there. They're all in. They're sharing. They're like family. You got actual family, and then you got people who are not blood, who feel like family. And I just feel like that's what's really missing in a lot of these companies is the passion, and that creates that incredible results. I mean, you have a son who just kills it every month in sales, and you guys are doing stuff. But let's talk about the culture there and how you started to create that, because I think that's something that a lot of people wish they had, and they're like, where do I start? And I just want to applaud you for it, but maybe just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'll go back pretty good ways, because we really need to incorporate all from my youth.
Yeah.
I get choked up a little bit, so I love what I do, but so my dad was a general contractor, and he was a functional alcoholic too. And this ain't a sad story, this is actually a great story. But when I would come outside to play, my dad would be watering a glass with a Dixie cup and beer, and some days he'd squirt me with the water hose because he was feeling real good. Other days he was so zoned out thinking about business that when I'd come up to him and hug him, he would put his elbow into me and squeeze me and tell me I wasn't ever working for anybody. Working for myself and to save money and put money up that nobody knew about. And that was pounded into my head. And then my mom had a picture in my room she bought me that said justification for higher education. And it had this big house, and down the hill was this 6-car garage with Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and all of that. So that's what I stared at every day. And then I had my dad pounded in my head, and I didn't know any other way. So I made a deal with God. I said, throughout time and the struggles of business, almost losing my house and things like that, then my wife and I, the first thing I did right is I found the right woman. Been with her since I was 13 years old,
awesome.
and still with her. So I had the support from her, but we almost lost our house going, doing different things because I flipped houses. Real estate, took a crap in '08, but I seen it in '06 happening. I shifted gears, went to work for a restoration company, and started getting all the restoration experience from the insurance standpoint, right?
Yep.
So kind of running back through all of this. So I made a deal with God that hey, you help me find that thing that I'm good at, and I will supersede the 50%. I'm meeting you halfway. I will work, and I will do everything I can to better everybody's life around me. So,
Wow.
that was, and he made the path for me, and I followed it, and so the culture piece to this is I owe it, right? You always owe it back, and that's important. But you can't do it without being a true leader, and so defining what that is I've kind of simplified that. You got your mind and you got your heart, and then you got the balance between the two. And when you can live in that balance, you're going to be a good leader, because you're too mindful, you're greedy, you're not in it for the people.
Right.
And if you're too heartful, you're taken advantage of, and it's just not gonna work out. So you got to get in there in that middle and find the balance between heart and mind.
That's good.
And then you really understand leadership, but you got to love the people, man, and you have to be in it for their personal growth, their journey, and that they know it and they feel it. And I always say I want people to run to work, not to walk. And if they get up and run to work and want to be there, the money's the byproduct, right? But that's it in a nutshell. So
Glenn, do you want to add to that?
I think the echo would be really, when you're hiring somebody, you're looking, it's all about your core values.
Yeah.
So I think it has to be based, you have to find people that fit your core values. And as a company, you have to, if you don't have your core values set in your mission statement, then you don't have a path to go. So you have to have a roadmap. So I always feel like that's the roadmap, is the start to your values and all your core values. You hire people that fit those. I think what Mikey really does a good thing on, I really enjoyed, is he challenges us, but what he does is you have to find your why. If you haven't, and we do it all the time, we go around and ask them, what's your why? Why do you do what you do? Why do I do what I do? What's your motivation? So if people can't find their why, they're not going to be driven. So that's one thing that we instill in our people, is to find out their why and help them achieve it. So
Well, what's interesting is, like, I noticed that you know your why. So because you know your why so well, it's hard for you to, like, it would be hard for me, when you're so passionate, when you know your why, for people not to meet you in that level of engagement. So you got to help them dig deep so that they're as passionate about why they're doing what they're doing too, so we all can crush it together, right? It's because you hold people and your team accountable for the things that we're implementing, because it's built upon that love of who they are. That's what I see, right?
Oh yeah.
And I feel it. I felt it when I went with you guys for a full day. It was awesome, man.
Yeah.
Just spending time with you guys. Just the degree of transparency and openness and desire to get better. I mean, your son, I don't know what he's selling a month, but he was as hungry as anybody in there to learn. And he was just trying to find something to get better. So I feel like that's something you guys have done and cultivated. So talk about, like, over the last 8 years, like, some of those things you have done to help grow your team and pour into your people and invest. I feel like I've seen you guys just make those moves without hesitation. If it's going to make our team better, I'm not going to say no to it, or at least I'm going to look at it. So talk about, like, that investment into your team, what that's kind of looked like over time to do that.
Yeah, I've invested more into culture than I have anything. But I'll give you a good piece to this. Holding the team accountable, been a big thing. But the biggest change in my company was when I started turning the finger back around and pointing at myself. Right? So you're pounding them. You should be doing this. You should be doing that as part of your role. Well, when you start pointing the finger back at yourself, you start realizing, hey, maybe the process is broke, not the person. You know, and when I started putting more on myself, and then now I have a phenomenal management team. So when we started turning it around, every time we look to blame someone, let's check ourselves first. Let's check our processes first. You know, are we setting them up to win, or are we setting them up to fail?
Yeah.
You know, so that was a big thing and a big maturing process for me. You know, because in an 8-year period, if you just say that the roofing portion of this went from 0 to 15 million, you know, in an 8-year time with no more than 6 salesmen. That's unheard of in this industry.
Yeah, 6 salesmen.
It's no more than 6 salesmen. Last year we finished out 150 something on the qualified remodeler, top 500 qualified remodelers list, and
Made 5,000.
it was and it made Inc. 5,000, and we was at just under 15 million or something.
Yep.
And with 6 guys, 6 sales guys.
Yeah, man.
That's big.
I mean,
you know.
you guys are like, how do we make? And I noticed that like, what's your top average month on a salesman and your average job size? Well, I'm just trying to give a picture. Because what's Anson doing?
This year he'll probably do 5.25 million in just residential roofs.
Just residential.
Average of
unheard of.
$23,000 job.
Our average ticket's 22 and a half, but his closing ratio is probably 70%.
It's ridiculous.
It is, and it's true.
ridiculous.
It's true. Numbers not fabricated at all. I'd show proof of it.
You got to understand, Anson though, he won top rep. He was with Sam Taggart, the door to door, and won that event. So he's a gifted kid. He really is. He's ahead of his time.
Well,
so.
no, what he does. Let's talk about this. Is important.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Right. What Anson does is, if we implement something, if we talk about something, if whatever it is, he goes and does it without hesitation, right? So it's almost like he believes in belief is by far the most important word that I can say today.
Yep.
You got to believe. And he believes in the Eldridge way. There is no Anson's way. There is no I. He believes in the Eldridge way, and he believes in what's best for the company. He gets the big picture. So he goes and he does it, and he implements it, and he practices what we go over in Power Hour. You know, we meet 7 in the mornings from 7 to 8 every single morning.
Every single morning.
Every morning.
That's awesome. For an hour.
For an hour. Yep, sometimes it roll over a little bit, but for the most part, for an hour. And I have just in the last 3 weeks turned that over to Anson.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, so that was my last piece to the, you know, the crystal ball. Only way I know how to explain it is I've been that little wizard in there running through this storm in this crystal ball, and every now and then you'd see him and he's zapping this problem and starting this process and this, that, whatever. And I've been in that ball, and when I let go of control, when I got Glen and I got Craig Bullock,
Yep.
you met
Yep.
sales and marketing, and having Anson as the best way I can explain Anson is he's like an old baseball manager that played and managed.
Yeah, like a player coach.
Yeah.
Right.
And when I turned Power over to him and Craig and let go of that control, I feel like I got the crystal ball finally in my hand after all these years. So it's a big deal right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love that. Well, congrats on that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say another thing. You talk about people. It's not just your employees, but even like your subs. When I came aboard, I was shocked because most people, companies don't take care of their subs like we do, like family. So, for example, at Christmas time, we invite our subs for a big white elephant gift with our families and their families, and they're family to us. So, and that's why we have these subs that have been there with us for 10, 15 years. Same crews.
I mean,
Love that.
yeah, it's good stuff.
So tell me about, like, I think a big thing that people are missing on is they don't realize what it takes to create this culture and the amount of time and money that you really need to do to invest into your team. Like, I don't think people realize it. Give me round numbers. Give us round numbers of like hour a day. How many conferences are you attending a year with your team? You guys are rolling deep here at the RCAT MRCA event. I mean, I saw 15 people or something.
16
people.
total, yeah.
So you guys are rolling deep. That's guys out of the saddle, right? What does that look like outside of time? Cover time on average a year. And what kind of like investment in technology, training? I mean, you're spending money, and I think that if you didn't do that, there's no way a guy like Anson's doing $5 million a year. He's probably doing decently, but there's so much potential you've unlocked through creating this culture of time investment, coaching, outside coaching, technology products, based around this Eldridge way that you guys have, built this foundation on. But let's just share, what is a high growth $15 million company actually, investing time and money into their team to help them grow?
From the beginning, we have hit every conference, whether IRE, RCAT here in Texas. Big part, we're Master Elite with GAF, the Wealth Builder. RoofCon, we've went to some.
Best of Success.
Win the Storm. I mean, we hit these conferences, and we're not just coming. We go out and have a good time, have some drinks, and but we're in the classes.
Got it.
We're going to the classes. I sit down and map out where the best people need to go, what class fits everybody, where management needs to be at the time, and we're taking the classes serious at every one of the events. I mean, that's why we're there. So we go have a good time. We reward, the Power Hour team, and we go and our thing is let's bring back 5 gold nuggets. And let's implement them,
And because of Power Hour structure, you guys can discuss.
Oh yeah.
Is that where you do that?
Absolutely. Yeah. And then in our investment in to you, in several things, and seven calls with Ryan, but I called somebody that's worked with you before, just to make sure. So, because it is a lot of money, but it's well worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, just the personal growth piece, right?
That was
when you were there.
Yeah.
I think we all felt that in the room.
Yeah.
I mean,
I did.
That was priceless.
I mean, how many people cried that day?
Oh man,
That was a good number.
How many people cried? I mean, you don't really see
that was powerful.
Grown men.
Special.
And I told you, and I'm gonna tell the camera, this industry needs Ryan Groth. It needs more of him. Because of this right here.
Yeah.
Your heart, your belief in God, and people need to quit. People need to quit not talking about him. Sure, we don't need that isn't what we're there. It's not a church.
Right.
But we have to. If you're going to implement anything, we got to implement him back into things, right? Because where are we going to get our belief at? If you don't have that, Stephen Covey says it best, man. If you're not right here, then it don't matter what skill set or what you have. It doesn't matter. It's gonna run its course and it's gonna flatten out over time. So.
Appreciate
yeah, man. Yeah, but we've spent. An old baseball coach of my kids taught me this. I was real big on loyalty, and I demand it because I'm a little guy and I lead by example, and I was real faithful to a baseball coach of my kids.
Yeah.
Right. But I would see these other kids and they'd go get hitting lessons from all these different coaches over time, and they would play for different coaches. I don't like that. I'm not big on that. But I had to look at these kids and see that how much knowledge they got from working with these different coaches, as long as they're all good coaches, right? So I took that structure and with business to say, look, I can't just focus on just me going to get something or whatever. I have to. It was big for me to open up to start investing.
I remember that. Yeah,
investing
you were like, man, this is new for me.
This is new, man. Because I've always been able to do it.
Yeah.
Right. But when you get to 10 million, things are different. All the processes have to change. You outgrow what you have in place. You just do. It's not going to sustain it. You're going to be missing a lot of things. It's just so. my biggest thing is I had to, I don't know if it's swallowing my pride, Ryan. I don't think that's what it is, but I had to let go and know that, hey, there's people that specialize in what they do, and it's important for me to invest into them. They've earned that piece to get that knowledge as well, to sharpen our saw, man. Another thing, Stephen, you got to stop and sharpen the saw.
Totally. And look, like you're a smart guy. You'll probably end up figuring it out, but it might take you a few big mistakes or time, and that costs money, or the mistakes cost money, or the time is money, or just, just getting somebody you trust. But yeah, you guys have, one thing I've noticed is you guys have gone and you've gotten, Chuck Toki and Top Rep. You've gone to Sam Taggart. You've gone to guys the Wealth Builder provides. You've invested in us. Paul, you've done stuff with Paul Reed. I mean, you're not afraid.
Jim Johnson. Steve Patrick.
You
got to make sure I say all my boys on the camera.
Anybody else? Miss anybody? We got to do something. So training. I mean, you guys have invested in the coaching, invested in the training. We've named some names. Now, where are we taking this thing next? Where's the future with what's going on in that brilliant brain of yours?
So my thing was just to be, brick and mortar in Houston and surrounding areas, and maybe extend a little bit from there, because this industry lacks brick and mortar. It lacks professionalism. It lacks so much. But Anson, so I have two great sons and a daughter, and both of my sons sell and do a good job, and my daughter's in business development. I just want to, so we keep talking about Anson, but man, Trace he's been here from the start with us. Oh yeah.
3 million.
Yeah. He come out of high school, and he has been here from the beginning. So I want to make sure I point that out.
Beautiful.
But Anson's a lot like me, and we're never satisfied, and he wants to open another office. He wants to take it pretty far. So instead of just being, content at what I'm doing, I have expanded my goals to make sure that we're getting everything in place. I have got a wonderful management team with Glen. So leadership has been a big thing that we've invested in. We're talking about investing earlier, and I couldn't get to our whole team, man. I can sit and talk about everybody, but anyway, so we're wanting to do, because it's a management thing, is our executive team that we're working on is getting everything in place to take and open up other offices. But we can't duplicate what we had, what you came and seen at Eldridge. But I tell you what we can do. We can brick and mortar. We're gonna brick and mortar everywhere we go. I'm probably gonna buy the shopping center and rent the rest of it out and have an Eldridge in there. That's how thick we're gonna get. Everywhere we put an office, it will succeed.
Yeah.
There will be no shutting down anything ever, anywhere we go.
And you guys you're baking this process the Eldridge way. It's almost to the point where it's repeatable, but you're like, I don't want to put pressure on it until it's perfect, right? You're
That's
just
right.
you're like baking the master cake right now, right? And it's and you're just finding new ways to improve it, because you guys are training, you're using, most of all the technology products out there that don't overlap, you're using them, right? You're integrating and you're getting the most out of your team.
Hey, Ronnie Smith was another one earlier I forgot to mention that was a big.
Charlie, One Tap. We met. He came down and saw us too.
Yeah.
Nice.
But from Ronnie was big on well, we did a lot of stuff with Ronnie, so I want to make sure
love
to do
that.
there.
Man, well, guys, I appreciate you hanging out with me today, and I checked out your Facebook page, Anson's Instagram. How can people just tune into what you guys are doing, and other than seeing you at a conference?
They can like our Facebook page and stuff like that. I've been a pretty tight-lipped guy.
Yeah.
On what I do.
Yeah, you could keep it that way if you want.
Yeah, but I'm changing that. Probably Anson's probably been the biggest push. You can tell everybody everything you do, but they got to get up and go do it, right? So but if they're in on our Facebook page, they're gonna get it, man.
It's just the little things, but I mean, these guys, the attention to detail to everything, I just love, and the passion, the family, the never satisfied, the culture, the consistency, the quality. You know, just what you're doing, you're super successful already. But like, you know, there's more for you, and I just love that crossroads moment you had, where it's like, man, God, you give me the thing I can crush it with, I will give, and you're doing it.
I'll never let you down. That's right.
It's been awesome. So.
And I want to leave a piece for all the viewers. If you can invest into any coach and any technology, you can spend all kinds of money, but if you're not right as the leader of the company, it is not going to succeed. The turnover rate is going to continue, because that's the biggest problem, right? And it's going to continue until you're right inside. And you have, you know, when you become to where your thought process is more into the success of the people around you and the betterment of them, if your mind goes there first, then you pretty much know that you're right.
That's good.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of deep work, because people can talk about servant leadership all day, and sometimes it's just phony. Like, they're just trying to like appear to be a good leader, but they're still selfish, or they're still self-interested, or still afraid, they're still controlling, and they're not really at a point where they can give.
That's right.
Like, and I think that takes a lot of inner work, and that takes some true self-reflection. So, did you have something to add, Glenn?
Well, you know, it's funny you said about I brought up earlier about the why. Remember?
Yeah.
Well, he'll check in with you and say, "Hey, where are we at on your why?" Because he said, "I'm gonna make sure that you accomplish your why." So he'll say, like, say for example, you want to buy a beach house, right? He'll say, where are we at on it? How close are you? You're almost there, and he's pushing you to get it. You know what I mean? So I love about him is that I feel like he's always one step ahead. I feel like, you know, he in this industry, he's not reactive, he's proactive. And I think if you're reactive, you're behind the 8 ball. So that's what I always love about him. He's the innovator, and I'm the integrator.
Glenn, make sure I do it.
That's awesome, man.
God, I tell Glenn I know it's gonna get done. And that's big. That's been the biggest thing for me is the people around me I've put around me. You know, that's been huge.
I love it. It's infectious, man. I love being around you. And so, guys, share this episode if you felt connected to what Mikey and Glenn were talking about at Eldridge. Share it with your friend. And we've got a couple things going on. Our Transform Conference is at this point, by the time you listen to it, it's already been passed. So take a look at next year. Take a look at our stuff, salestransformationgroup.com, personal growth, sales leadership, coaching. You got it, you name it. We have a couple partners I want to shout out: WebRunner, Sumo Quote, roofing business partner. We have a few more that we'll be sharing. Check those guys out. We have a special relationship, so if you guys mention us, I'm sure they'll take great care of you. And again, thanks for hopping on, guys. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
And see you on the next Growth Minded Contractor show.